If you're ready to find your path to success or take the success you're enjoying to the next level, stay tuned. Successful Living with Bill Napick is on right now.
Welcome to the show, Successful Living with Bill Napick, and once again with Leslie Barkley, the general manager of the Houston Palm Restaurant, and we are right here at the Palm on location. Welcome to the show, Leslie.
Thank you as always, Bill.
Here we go. This time of year, there are so many things for individuals to think about, whatever their profession is, even if they're retired. In fact, one of the big words that we keep in mind this time of year is planning. And when we set goals for ourselves, for our company, for the people we lead, planning is a big thing. Let's tell, when I just say that word, Leslie, what are some of the things I'm sure you are bombarded with ideas and thoughts, but what comes to mind when you think about planning here as the general manager of the Houston Palm?
Okay, well, in regard to a restaurant, the planning is actually, in regard to any industry, planning never stops. So you plan in increments, the macro and the micro. You plan your day, you plan your morning, you plan your week, you plan your month, you plan your year, especially at this time of year in any industry. You kind of are coming up with your next year's plan for any number of things, budgets, and et cetera. But I would say that the real topic of the entire conversation today would be execution. Because a plan is great, but if you don't work the plan, then there's absolutely no point in having one. But for this morning, for instance, knowing I was doing this, I needed to make sure that I was here a little bit earlier and prepared for this, as well as getting all of my morning finished before we open the doors of the restaurant. So I have all this planned the day before, exactly what my 2 hours before opening are going to hold, exactly what's going to happen in the afternoon I have between shifts, between the lunch and dinner rush, and then, of course, what I'm going to be able to wrap up at the end of the day. But one rule that I have had for myself since the beginning of time, before I was even in the restaurant industry, I was in advertising industry. I've run my entire life on to-do lists. So I
love the to-do lists.
So, and I know that this is not uncommon, but I definitely am one of those people that will write something on a to-do list that I've already finished just to see it crossed off or to feel the delete button beneath my finger. But I live and die by my to-do list. So I believe that there are priorities throughout the day, and you absolutely cannot leave at the end of the day. No matter how long it takes you, you can't leave at the end of the day until the prioritized, the number one things are finished. So I will work on my jobs in a prioritized way. I don't do if I can get the easy stuff out of the way and know that I have concentration time later, I'll shift that, etc. But it's just important to make sure that I know that everyone knows the saying, plan your work and work your plan. You have to live by that. You can't operate in any industry without doing that.
Planning, goal setting, execution. And one of the things I think about, I too love the to-do list and write down lists, even for certain things. My day, yes, but also certain categories in the day. If it's something that I'm going to do that might be special, there's some categories I need to bring certain things, prepare, read certain things, and all that. The other idea of the to-do list is, and perhaps this is not written down, but in our minds we might just subtly have it there, and that is the not to-do list. There's just things we don't want to do, shouldn't do. And in our minds, at least in my mind, I have a not to-do list. There's certain things I will not do.
That is absolutely true. I love that. Something that came to mind to me the other day in the hustle and bustle of this time of year is how important January is. What I think people tend to do, and what I've done in the past, and I refuse to do this year, is focus so much on December. So you've got all the personal things you need to get done. I have a huge family. I know what that's like. And then you have the work items you need to finish, and you know that certain things need to be turned in by the end of the year. Again, any industry, you've got to wrap up your year. So what January ends up becoming is this kind of dead month. Where things don't move forward, or you maybe sit down and say, oh my goodness, I'm finally finished, and you maybe cut back a little bit or you relax a little bit. And I'm not saying that relaxing is bad. I think as Americans we don't do it enough, But I believe that if we look at January or look at the week after Christmas and before New Year, or look at our first week of January and set a lot of goals for the beginning of the year, we can set a tone for the year that is pretty spectacular. I'm not saying you spend more time at work. I do not believe in that. But be efficient at the beginning of January. Don't take this long break mentally or in your to-do lists where you're just like, look, I just need some time. Work hard while you're at work, and certainly relax while you're not. But don't see January as a dead month. Don't see January as your time to just sit back. Use it and set a tone for the year. You might actually even finish stuff that you don't have to do the rest of the year. Or you might set budgets or goals at the beginning, in the first week of January, that make your entire year more efficient or more profitable. Or you might do something that gets you more time with your family if you set goals at the beginning of the year and don't waste the month. I think that's really important.
Actually, you mentioned a couple things come to mind. One small goal I set last year that I have executed and carried forth was and I made it simple: do 10 push-ups a day. So believe it or not, I have done 10 I might have missed 3 or 4 days this whole year, but I've done 10 push-ups. Nothing heroic, but at least that. The other thing you're bringing up is the idea of work-life balance. Here you are leading the team at the Palm, which is a lot of responsibilities. When we think about planning, there's all the planning things, but when we're bringing food into the equation, other than planning to bring out spectacular dishes with each order that is placed, you have the element of planning to have the right amount of food. If you have too much, it could go bad. That is an extra element. But let's go to the thing. As you have your work life, you have a family life like we all do. How do you achieve the work-life balance? Because both of your roles, having known you here at the Palm and even hearing about your personal life, you have big things to think about. How do you keep things organized?
That's a great question. I can tell you the truth, Bill. Last year, I didn't do it well. Actually, the last 2 years, I didn't do it very well. I got to Houston, and I was brand new to the city and this location of the Palm, and followed in the biggest footsteps. The biggest shoes had to be filled in this location specifically with an amazing man in my industry and in the city retiring. So to be honest, I did a terrible job for almost 2 years at balancing work and family life. So this year, actually, just in this fall, I looked at everything and decided that everything I'm saying about finishing the last thing on your to-do list, I have just jammed my days a lot hard. I streamline and try to be as efficient as possible and not waste a single minute when I'm at work. Before, I would say, okay, kind of like what I was saying about January, don't sit back and relax when you're tired at work. If you're focused on one thing, do that thing really hard, then you have the time to relax. I found that what I would do in the middle of the day is some of my work, and then maybe talk to some of my staff and kind of, maybe it slowed down a little bit in the middle. And then at the end of the day, at the end of the shift, when I could have gone home, I ended up finishing anything I didn't finish in the middle of the day. This is just me being very honest. So I ended up getting home later every day. What I've decided to do since probably about beginning of November or mid-November was jam my day so that in every moment I was doing something important. If it means talking with my staff, which I do a lot, I did. But I made sure that I got right back on track and did something in the office. And then the next minute I need to, check on a staff member because a family member passed away and I'm talking to them about that. That's great. Then you move on to the next thing. But you literally you can never stop working or putting time into everything in the middle of it. You've got to jam every minute so that you can leave at a good time every day.
Leslie, as you lead the team here in the work part of your life, you have people in various roles, from the greeter at the door, party planning, all those things, servers, cooks, all your associates. How do you inspire or help them with their goals for the year and to take service levels, even in the cooking, maybe more procedures and systems to streamline the process in the kitchen end? How do you inspire others to plan and to set goals and to execute their goals as the year goes forth?
Well, you actually used one of my favorite words in the world, systems. I live
Systems and
by
procedures.
that world. Right, exactly. I live by the word systems. But one thing you need to do to inspire is genuinely be excited when someone accomplishes something, even if it's small. Hey, I finally sent that email to so-and-so. Oh my gosh, fantastic. How does that feel? So you inspire just by being excited with the people you do your work with. I've said with several of my colleagues through the years, one of my favorite things to do at the beginning of the day is just look at them and say, all right, let's run the heck out of restaurants. It's just this little saying, and you realize you're doing something, you're in something, whatever your industry is, be excited about it. So if you are excited, your team will be excited. And then as far as systems go, I do what probably everyone does in corporate America. I have action plans, and all action plans have a completion date. Action plans have the activity, the person assigned, and when it needs to be done by. So if I hold folks to that and ask how they're doing in the middle of the process. And honestly, those questions, ask so-and-so about how this is going, is actually something on my to-do list. That's something that I type out. I type out everything I need to do in the middle of a day. Follow up, and it helps follow through.
And
if you follow up, you'll get follow through.
I will say this, going back to the to-do list and crossing things off. When we have a lot to do, or we take what we do seriously and want to improve it at all times, it helps you sleep better at night knowing that to-do list is that you accomplish certain things and that you have something ready to go forth tomorrow. Like if I have my to-do list at the end of the night or near the end of the night, I'll write things down. I'll feel like, okay, great, I've got tomorrow set and I could go forth. Another thing comes to mind that's very important as you're talking about leading associates in all the various roles here at a restaurant at the Palm in Houston. One of the important things goes back to the very beginning. You have to start with the right people that are motivated, that want to take their game to the next level, whatever it is.
That's exactly
And if we
right.
don't have that right person on the team, then it doesn't happen.
Right.
Or we have to change the team or change their position.
Completely. That's true. I mean, that's the sad. That's
We
the
don't
sad
have the
part
right
about it,
software, right?
Exactly. But I think for the most part, a good leader can get good things out of people, and train them up. So the goal should always be to constantly be coaching. Training happens at the beginning. Coaching is what happens all the time. That's how I see it. You train someone at the start of something, and then you just coach them along the way. And that goes with the inspiring them to complete to-do lists and tasks and follow up and follow through.
And here at the Palm, by the way, people may know this that are regulars, but certainly a lot of the people that you have here have been here. To say a long time is one thing, but some of them have been here from the very beginning, over about 40 years, right?
41 years.
41
yes.
years. So
Yep.
you have some people still here,
Yes.
customers all the time.
The sous chef that is opening this morning, when I asked him for today's fish special and what the soup was, that man has been answering that question for 41 years. Rahino, he's been answering that question for 41 years.
What is the soup today?
Yeah, exactly. He has been here. Well, he started out washing dishes, so he probably wasn't asked at the beginning, but he is invaluable. And the gentleman that is our helper position is what it's called. If you're ordering a lobster this morning, he's handling that. He's breading chicken parmesan to order. He's been here 41 years. So, you've got a lot of people to inspire.
That is incredible. One of the great things about the Palm is consistency. We know certain things that we order, what they're going to taste like. We also know that when we come to the Palm, that sometimes you have surprises, different things on the menu. So that's all part of making it interesting for the regular customer or for the new customer that comes in the door at any time.
Absolutely. We do have quarterly menu changes for seasons, so we do have a new menu every 3 months. In addition to that, we have a special every single day that we do for fish or just a special in general. And then we have, special events like wine dinners where our chef makes up completely unique menus that just are paired with the wine. We've done whiskey dinners. We do cigar and whiskey or cigar and scotch events. We do things that require different menus or something off of our menu all the time. Plus, because we use all the fresh ingredients, you can ask for something off menu whenever you want. We had a woman here the other day in a large party who is vegan, and oh my goodness, the dish that my chef made was one of the most beautiful dishes that went out all day. It was a vegan dish in an Italian steakhouse. Whatever somebody wants, typically we can do. We have all of the ingredients in-house, so. it's a lot of fun.
The other thing that comes to mind is people know this, but it's worth reminding is that you have private parties all year long. You're capable of handling all sorts of crowds, big, little, and tailoring, as you're saying, the menu to whatever their needs are. In fact, business presentation. So the Palm is equipped to do so many things, and that brings just another element as far as planning. When you have those special events, business dinners or whatever, or lunches, that takes another degree of planning, and you have a great team here that does that.
Absolutely. I have the best team. Lauren Learman has been doing it for about 7 years in this location and has developed such an incredible relationship with the city of Houston. And her parties, I just let her go. I don't have to do anything.
And that takes a lot of planning. I was here not that long ago for dinner, and at the same time, I think it was a Friday night. At the same time, I was dining along with other people in the restaurant where they were dining. You had 2 private rooms that must have been full, because when it came time for their entree, there was a parade of servers going to that room. So that takes a lot of planning on everybody's part. I mean, we go back to planning, execution, and goal setting. The whole idea of teamwork is so important.
Right. Communication, I think, to even wrap something like this up, communication is the key to literally everything. If we don't communicate, then we don't have meat for the party, because the chef doesn't know to order extra because he doesn't know the menu, and if the guest doesn't communicate in time with our party planner, Lauren, then we don't know how many people are choosing the seafood, how many people are choosing the meat. Everything, every single detail we need to communicate, and at every level, from the guest to the party planner, party planner to the chef, to me for staffing, etc.
That is so important. The communication is so important, because you have so many things going on. Food. Now, let's talk about, it doesn't always go smooth. Every once in a while, there is a challenge or a hiccup in the process. What do you do when a challenge occurs, and or if it occurs for one of your team members, a server or whatever? How do you get back on track with a challenge? What's your mindset?
Well, I love this question, actually, because one thing, at the beginning of my career, that was a really tough question. It's hard. You look at the situation, you're like, oh my goodness, this is the worst possible thing. But the one thing I tell my staff in restaurants is we're not ER doctors. It's food on a plate. Everyone's going to survive. So for my industry specifically, I'm not in the medical field, but one of the things I look at, I did it last weekend. We had a 250-person party. Everything was amazing. But there was a round of salads that was going to be delayed at one table for the logistics of an event with 250 people eating at one time are massive. But it was one little hiccup, and that's all, which was amazing. But and she was very, very concerned, the server, and you just look at them, and this is what I've learned over time, and you just say, listen, we're all people. They're a person, you're a person, we can all understand each other, things happen. At the end of the day, they're going to be eating salad, and it's going to be 2 minutes after everyone else, and we're going to go tell them the truth, and they're going to say, hey, it's all right. I mean, the truth is, we're all people. We can get through this. It's nothing is as big of a deal as it seems at the moment, especially when you're so invested, and especially at the Palm, where you walk in every day with the weight of its history behind you, and it's not a weight. It really is exciting, but you feel it when you make a mistake. You feel, 93 years, the reputation, the faces on the wall, 41 years in Houston. We train our staff this way. This is a family, so when they make a mistake, it is pretty pressing, but you've got to just stop and say, look, we're just people. It's okay. Take a breath. We're going to go talk to them and solve it. It's all right.
And this is one of the restaurants where people do come in with higher expectations.
And they should.
Usually.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Leslie, with the last few minutes, what are some of the other things that you want to bring forth? Certainly we're reminding people you have great lunches, dinners, private parties. What else would you like people to know about planning, the restaurant, or anything else, the future?
In general, one thing I'd like them to know about the restaurant is there are a lot of amazing steakhouses out there. We're one of them. But one thing that makes us unique I think, is the fact that you could be really hoping for an amazing steak for the night. You really want a great steak, but someone in your party isn't necessarily in the mood for steak or live Nova Scotia lobster. We're the only people in town that do that. But we're an Italian restaurant. We started out with red and white checkered tablecloths in Manhattan. I mean, we're an Italian restaurant started by 2 Italian guys from Parma, Italy, and their family recipes are the recipes we're still using. So come here for Italian, and certainly get a steak if you want, an awesome steak. Get an incredible live lobster, but don't forget this is an Italian restaurant. As far as goal setting, to wrap it all up, plan your work and work your plan. Pack every minute. Focus on where you are if you're at work. Do everything that is possible to get your work done every minute. Don't waste a minute. And then get home and relax, and don't waste a minute thinking about work. And don't waste January. It's an important month to set the tone for the year.
January is a spectacular month, no doubt about it. Also, one of the things I think is a good idea and suggestion for people out there that I did last year is I took a journal and put in certain things that would happen, just notable things that would happen during the day, and then I can go back and look at them. Sometimes I put my to-do list in them, but that's a great idea. If people want to reach out to you, you are Leslie Barkley, the general manager of the Houston Palm. You love to say hello to people as they walk in the door all the time.
I do.
That's one of the best parts of your job.
I do. It's true. It's true. So if you are listening and you're coming by the Palm, please say that you heard me here. Please say hello. I definitely want to say hello.
And if they want to make a reservation, what should people do?
Well, you could do just like anywhere. You give us a call, go through Open Table, check our website, and make a reservation in the top right-hand corner. But calling me personally is always a great one, too.
And I want to tell people, too, certainly the steaks, the lobsters, even the Italian food, I want to mention just a few things that may not jump on people's radar right away. Veal martini, clams oreganato, super dishes. I was here yesterday for lunch. My friend, she had the linguine with clam sauce. Another chicken parmesan. The list goes on. We're trying to get people hungry because I'm hungry right now. And I think when they hear that, not to mention the steaks, the New York strip is super awesome. When you get a steak, what's your go-to steak?
Or
does
I
do you
go
rotate?
For filet. My husband's always going for a ribeye. That's just our thing, filet and ribeye.
That sounds great. You've been listening to Successful Living with Bill Nampick. That's me, and today, Leslie Barkley, the general manager of the Houston Palm. Leslie, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, as always, Bill. I appreciate it.